So now, so now I'll be talking to you guys about the domain of my composite function and how that is formed. Just to do a little recall again, a composite function is basically when one function is substituted into another function. In other words, one function is dependent on another function. Here I have f of g of x as my composite function. So g of x is substituted in as a value for x in the function f. So just looking back to how that is formed, well, f of g of x was first formed when the domain or the input values were applied to a function of g to get an output value of g of x. So this is my input of g, which becomes my domain of g, and my output here is going to become the range of g. Now this output g of x now becomes the input for my function f of g of x. So since that becomes the input, that input for f, that is now going to be the domain of f, and my output of f is basically going to be f of g of x. So the input of g of x is now going to be the domain for f of g of x. So just want to highlight this form right here. So the range of g, which is the output, now becomes the domain for f, which becomes the input for my function, for my composite function f.